Rock and roll. Happy Monday. All right. Happy Monday. So the entire stock market is flying today. Let me show you the chart of the Dow Jones. There's the Dow Jones today, up 700 points almost at 10. Nope, that was 1055. That means it's higher now, of course. Up 740. All right. The market's flying today. Our wonderful Jerome Powell was on 60 Minutes yesterday, so we knew he was going to pump this bad boy up, and he did. Does anybody know what Jerome, the Fed Chair Powell, said yesterday? You might have watched it. I didn't. I was too busy watching the Michael Jordan and the Last Dance documentary. I did catch what he said on Twitter, though, when they followed up, and they were kind of, quoting it. I did catch that. Anybody catch that? Because that is why the market's flying today. If you did, great. If you didn't, just say, I didn't, please tell me. Just so I know where we're at. All right, Daniel read it. Somebody say, Daniel, please tell us. Oh, come on. You guys can unmute and do that. Pretty please. You guys are so boring typing. Daniel, please share with the world.
So basically he was on 60 Minutes and he said that US GDP shrinkage could it could still go down, but he said that the country's economy will be better than before the coronavirus.
Yep. He actually used the term "do not bet against America." That seems to be because Warren Buffett said that a week before. Do you remember what he actually said, though, about what the Fed can do? Did you see that part?
No, I didn't.
Okay. He said there is no limit to what the Fed is capable of or willing to do. Now, what has the Fed done so far? So there's only a few bullets that the Fed can shoot off, right? What is one of those bullets? Come on, guys. What is the Fed? Yes, so they can increase or decrease the federal funds rate. What did the Fed do to the federal funds rate? They had an expansionary policy, which means what did they do to the federal funds rate? Give me a number. Give me a number. You guys are saying they decreased the federal funds rate. Hi, Rue. What is the current federal funds rate?
0%.
There you go. Thank you, dear. 0%. They dropped it to 0%. All right. That's the first thing they can do. What is the next thing that they can do? And they started doing this. The second thing that they can do is what? QE. So yes. So Frida, QE, quantitative easing. That's when they start injecting money into the economy. They start buying bad debt. Right? They start increasing liquidity by buying bad debt. Okay? That's great. Yeah, they're propping up the economy. They're giving some confidence to the globe. Okay, I understand that. They also started doing something on Friday and Thursday of last week. Evidently, there's a third thing they can do, which they've never done before, ever, in history of ever. All right? And it's this, it's when Jerome Powell says there's no limit to what I can do, this guy's not lying. Anybody know what he did? The Fed came out and said they're going to start buying ETFs. All right? They're going to start buying corporate debt. via, corporate debt ETFs. So what we can invest in, right? Like we've talked about purchasing the QQQ, right? You guys remember the stocks that are in the QQQ? This is the big time something industry ETF. Do you guys remember which ETF this is? Who are the big dogs in that ETF?
Wasn't it Apple, Amazon?
Yeah,
Like-
that's the tech ETF.
Mhm.
So you can buy these ETFs now, so can the Fed. Are you kidding me? The Fed can now go in and invest in the market. We have never done that before. You have never seen the Fed buy an ETF before last week, ever, since the central bank was formed in the early 1900s. What was it, like 1907 or 1917 is when it was founded, the central bank. Ever. Not in the Great Depression, not in the 60s, not in the downturn in the 80s, not in the 1999 tech crash, not in 2007, 2009 housing crisis. No, takes 100 years, and now they're buying ETFs. Daniel, what do you think of that? Do you like it or not like it? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's motivational? Do you think it's supportive? What do you think? Do you think it's outlandish and crazy?
I think it's pretty crazy because that they're really just buying stuff on the stock market, ownership of companies, and I don't know if the government's like, I don't know if that's really constitutional, because let's say, I don't know, a person from the Fed buys like 10% of all the ETF shares or whatever. That could be a conflict of interest if they own stocks too,
Huge conflict of interest. Not only is it a conflict of interest, so now they're picking the winners and losers. They're literally picking who should win and lose. The Fed, not investors, not consumers, not the managers of these businesses. The Fed is picking who should win and lose. What kind of bull? This is being recorded. What kind of doo-doo is that? So that's my thesis, and that's my thought, that this is a little bit crazy to me right now that it's gotten that far. Now, I'm heavily invested in the stock market. So I'm like, yeah, well, if my stocks go up, I'm a happy camper, duh. But it's outlandish. I've never heard of it before. So Powell said there's nothing that they won't do, and there's nothing they can't do. They proved it 3 ways, right? They cut interest rates to 0. They're pumping an unlimited amount of money into the economy by buying debt. Now they're buying publicly traded ETFs, exchange traded funds. Guess what they might do next? Dun, dun, dun. Negative interest rates. If all of this stuff that they're doing doesn't work, they don't have much else they can do. Does that make sense? So, negative interest rates would be what is a next theory on the horizon. Now, Jerome Powell said we are not doing negative interest rates. You know what Jerome Powell also said a couple years ago? We're not going to buy stocks. And they just started buying stocks. Right? So when the data changes, you can change your opinion. That's okay. Is he going to change his opinion? I'm in the camp I think they do. 1,000% so. I think by Christmas, we will have negative interest rates. I'll even bet you guys dinner if you guys want to take the bet. If we have negative interest rates, dinner's on me. If we don't have wait, hold on. If we have negative interest rates, dinner's on you. If we don't have negative interest rates, dinner's on me. Who wants to take that bet? Great. I have expensive taste, Ethan. Sweet. Anyone else? Anyone else? No? Nobody wants to get in on this? All right. So that brings us to negative interest rates. What are they? So you kind of have to understand what they are before you should even make that bet, Ethan. So it's kind of a crazy bet you made without knowing what negative interest rates are. The simple way to put it is what I have listed here. It is an unconventional monetary policy adjustment. It's never been, can't say never been done. Germany has them right now. So it's been done. I find it extremely ineffective and scary. But central banks have done this before. All right. So what they do is they encourage lending, right? They encourage commercial banks to lend. So you have a savings account. How many of you guys have a savings account? All right. If you got a savings account, just put something in there so I know you got a savings account. Yes. Good. Perfect. Some of you do. All right. What if I were to tell you that you get 1% interest on your savings account? You would probably hit me with a big fat smiley face and say, thank you. Free 1% every month. Thank you, sir. Can I have another? What if I told you that all the money you have in your bank account, I'm going to charge you 0.5%. So you're going to make negative 0.5% every month on your money. That means, am I adding money to your account? Or am I taking money out of your account? Yes, I'm taking money out. Why would I do that? Why would I take money out of your account? I'm trying to motivate you to do what? So Tasneem, you have $1,000 in your account. You were getting 1% interest. Now you get negative 1%. I'm forcing you to go spend your money. It's kind of messed up, but that's what it would be. That's negative interest rates. They're not literally going to pay you to take out a loan. I hope we don't get that to that point, because then we'll have stupid people taking out loans like crazy, who inevitably years down the road won't be able to pay it back when they do have a positive interest rate, right? But this is just to illustrate your savings account. It will never happen to your savings account, okay? But that's what negative interest rates are. Okay, that's exactly what negative interest rates are. So what does it look like? What does the process look like? So we have the central bank. We'll call it CB for central bank. The central bank lends to the New York Fed. Okay? And there's other Feds. There's the St. Louis Fed. There's the Chicago Fed. There's the Atlanta Fed, right? So there's all these different Federal Reserves, local Federal Reserve banks. The New York Fed then may lend to a commercial bank. So can you guys give me 3 commercial banks? Give me 3 commercial banks. TD. Okay, so we got TD as one bank. Citi as another. And all right, we'll do Bank of America. So B of A is another one, Bank of America. TD lends to Apple, right? Citi lends to Shannon for college. B of A lends to Frida for car loan. TD also lends to, who else we got in here? Prasanga Prasanga for his business idea. Now, this is our structure. You don't have to redraw this. We could just, take a look at this and check it out later. All right. So there's our outline. So today we're at 0%. So let's use a nice pretty green. 0% federal funds rate. What do you think the New York Fed lends money to TD? So the central bank lends to the New York Fed at 0%. The New York Fed lends to TD. Give me a percentage. Good. 1%. What do they lend to Citibank at? What do they lend to Citibank at? Let's go 1.5%. And let's go Bank of America, 0.5%. Okay? So let's keep on going. TD lends to Apple at what percent? Well, Apple's AAA rated. Great credit score, right? Got cash. So what do you think they lend to Apple at? Come on, quick. Let's go. 2%. Love it. Got it. 2% to Apple. Prasanga, brand new business. They have no idea what the hell Prasanga wants to do. He's not trustworthy. He's got no credit score. We're lending to Prasanga at 5%. Good. Shannon's going to college. What are they sending Shannon to college on? What percentage of a loan? Citi's 1.5. Shannon's going to college. Shannon gets a 3% loan. All right. Frida has a car loan. Frida's going to get they have 0.5% B of A. Let's go 4% for Frida. Okay. This is the world we live in today. Does this make sense so far that this is the world we operate in? The central bank has 0%. Therefore, the Fed lends at a lower rate. Therefore, TD lends at a lower rate. And if you have a good credit score and good credit rating, you do get the low possible rates, okay? The less trustworthy you are, the higher the rates. That's in everything, no matter what. Well, now we get to what happens at negative interest rates. So let's go to a nice blue. Now what happens if we are at negative 0.5%? Now the Fed is going to be forced, the New York Fed will be forced to lend to TD. Because they're going to want TD to take out money. How do you convince TD to take on debt or to loan out to businesses? Maybe TD is at negative 0.25. Negative 0.25. Negative 0.25. So the Fed now says, I'm going to charge TD, Citibank, and Bank of America negative 0.25% if they have cash in their accounts. So if you don't loan this money out, I'm going to take money out every month. What would you do if you were a bank?
Loan it out.
Hell yeah, loan it out. I mean, what do you want to lose money every month? Exactly, loan it out. So they loan it out. So at 1%, they were giving it to Prasanga for 5%. At negative 0.25, what do you think they're giving it to Prasanga at? So these rates got cut. This rate would naturally then get cut. Prasanga maybe gets it for 4%. Apple gets it for 1%. Shannon gets it for 2%. Frida gets it for 3%. Does that math make sense to you? Somebody asked me a question about this so far, because this is where it's going to start getting crazy if you don't completely grasp this.
So for the blue percentages, that's when the central bank is giving a negative interest?
Yes. So the blue means the central bank needs the Fed to force the big commercial banks to lend. Well, how do you do that? You charge the Fed negative 0.5% if they have cash. Then the New York Fed charges TD negative 0.25 if TD doesn't take on more debt and lend it out. So you're motivating them to take on debt and loan out to private businesses or individuals. Otherwise, they'd lose money every single month by having a negative 0.25 multiple on their account.
So the decrease in the loans, like for example, TD is now offering Prasanga's business 4%, meaning instead of 5. So that means Prasanga's business has to take out more loans.
Well, no. So Prasanga's business isn't forced to take out a loan, but Prasanga's business could get a loan at a cheaper rate now, because now that they've dropped the federal funds rate to negative, these commercial banks will also likely have to drop their rates to businesses and individuals.
I would search it up, but no one knows it.
Okay.
Because it's the math. If the central bank was charging more and the Fed was charging more, they would charge you more. Well, since the central bank is not charging money on interest, they're actually motivating you to take on debt by telling you, hey, we're going to charge you if you don't make loans.
Okay. Makes sense.
Why do you think they would charge banks? What do they want banks to do? Same thing with your savings account, like we're talking about with Tasneem. Why would they charge a negative rate to Citibank? What is the Fed? What is Jerome Powell? What would he want Citibank to do?
Loan it out.
Loan it out. Loan it to Shannon. Make Shannon want to take out the loan. Make Prasanga want to start his business. Make Frida want to go buy that car because they've cut the percentage. So it makes it easier for you to get a loan because you're paying back less interest. Okay? So the goal of negative interest rates is theoretically just to convince banks to give out more loans. That's what the central bank would be doing if they went to negative rates. So number one, check. Number two, we know these big commercial banks, TD, Citibank, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, all the big dogs, right? Positive interest income. This is what you have now in your savings account. So if you get 1% in your savings account, that's free money, right? That's what you get every month from the bank in your savings account. That's positive. It's called positive interest income. Does that make sense for you guys? Just type, I like it, if you get it. If you like free money, that's positive interest income. Perfect. Now, negative interest income is the crazy part. Negative interest means you will lose money. So if it's at negative 1%, right, equals they deduct money from your account if there's cash in it. That's what the Fed would do to these big banks. So these banks don't want to have cash anymore because they're going to lose money if it sits in their account. So they just start making more loans, more loans, more loans, more loans, even if you don't deserve it. They just start issuing loans. Okay? Okay, we're good here on that. Do you get the difference between positive and negative interest income? Negative interest income is like rare because we haven't had negative rates, right? Now we're facing a situation where maybe they will go to negative rates if they have to. Okay. If you understand negative rates, we can move on to number 5. All right. What do you think what types of loans do you think negative rates would have an impact on? So what type of rates? So, right, you have a negative federal funds rate, which impacts the Fed, which impacts TD, it impacts all of these people, places, or things. What type of loans do you take out? I'll go first. Your interest rate on your car loan. What else? Good. Mortgage loan. Good job. What else? You're taking them out in September. Student loans. Let's see what out. Business loans. Car loans. What do you got? What do most people have in their pockets? I have one. It makes that sound when I drop it on the table. Apple
Credit
Pay.
card.
Hey, credit card loans. So credit card's a loan. So you have a credit card interest rate, right? Credit cards. Then what if you take like PayPal offers credit? So maybe even a PayPal interest rate. How about bonds? Bonds are another one. So notice this would impact every type of debt possible. Now, you guys have to listen super, super close to me right now. If you get negative rates, it would be the best time for you to take out a student loan. I need you guys to be clear and listen to me what I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not telling you to go do something stupid and take out huge debt. What I'm telling you right now is if the economy starts to get worse over the next few months, it is possible we get to negative interest rates. So if I were you and I was a student and I was taking out a loan, I would not take out a loan that would pay for the next 4 years of college. I'd be taking out a loan to pay for the next 6 months of college. A small loan. Why would I take out a small loan now? Let's say you need $5,000 or $10,000 for the year. I would take out money for the year. I wouldn't take out 40 grand if college is going to cost me 40 grand over the next 4 years. I would take out just what this semester or this semester and next semester cost. Why would I not take out a huge loan? Why would I not take out a loan for the entirety of my college education right now?
Economy's gonna bounce back eventually.
Eventually, yes, it will bounce back.
We can't time the economy. We don't know how the economy is going to do in a couple years from now.
Well, I think we can kind of guess that within the next 2 years, things will be better than today.
Okay.
I think, you hope, right? But you're right. You think it will. There's no way of knowing. But why would I not take out a huge loan right now? Why would I wait to take out another loan? I would wait. Maybe you guys are different. Why would I personally wait? What do I think is going to happen?
Economy might go even worse.
Right. You might reopen the economy and things might get worse. Maybe you reopen it and you get another spike in people getting sick. Maybe you reopen it and people are not going out like they're saying they would. I'm still not going to movie theaters. I'm still not going to the bar. I don't go to bars. I'm still not going to restaurants. I'd still rather pick up my food and go home and eat it. Right? I ride my bike in the park. I don't sit around the park playing frisbee with people, dirty people that might get me sick. Right? So you might not get this huge economic bounce back in spending and activity that you think you will. If that happens, the economy slows down again. Right? And you get scared. What might the Fed do? That's our topic today. What might the Fed look to do?
Negative interest rates.
Guys, if the Fed goes negative, Shannon's loan is going from 3% to 2%. Shannon's loan is going from 6% to 1%, from 7% to 2.5%. So what I'm telling you is there is potential that if you don't go crazy and take out a huge loan right now, you might be able to get a lower percentage on your loan. Does that make sense? That's what I'm trying to communicate to you. You might not have a 3% rate. You might get a 1% interest rate. If we go negative, that could be great for you. It would be great for me for buying a home because I can get a lower mortgage rate. For buying a car, you can get a lower loan rate to buy your car. So that would involve you guys doing more research. So I personally think that we end up with negative interest rates. Not right now. I think, like I said, by the end of this year, I think it does happen. If I'm wrong, then that's unfortunate. So if I bought a new car today, I would get like a 5% interest rate. If I bought a car in December and we have negative rates, I might get it right. So Volkswagen has 0% for 72 months. 72 months. That's like, what's 6 times? That's like 6 years. No interest. That's insane because they're trying to get you to buy a car. And that's right now with 0% federal funds rate. Imagine the federal funds rate went to negative. Volkswagen would give you 0% for like 10 years. And they would drop the price of the car because they're realizing people aren't spending. So how do you get them to spend? You give them a discount. All right. So it's something interesting to think about. If things do get worse and we do get negative interest rates, it could be a good time for people that have saved money to make some investments. Just keep that in mind. Okay, good. Questions on this? Tomorrow we're going to continue with the negative interest rate piece. The mini assignment is already posted. So you guys can actually go pop in and take a look on that if you guys want to. But what are your thoughts? Do you guys have any questions on negative rates? No questions for real? Guys, if you guys don't start talking, I'm just going to end class. It's that simple.
So does it affect all types of rates, like you said, or just certain?
No, so it would affect all rates. So this is the trickle down process. So we just saw the trickle down, right? So if we use purple, I'll draw the arrows. The central bank charges the Fed charges TD charges Prasanga. The central bank charges the Fed charges TD charges Apple. Central bank charges the Fed charges Citibank, the Citibank charges Shannon's college tuition loan. Central bank to the Fed to Bank of America, to Frida's car loan. This would impact every single form of debt possible.
All right.
All debt would get cheaper to encourage you to take on debt. All debt would get cheaper. Cheaper to take out loans. That way, it hopefully would grow the economy. How do you get Frida to buy a new car? Volkswagen, 0% APR for 6 years. That's how you get Frida to buy a car.
Oh, okay.
Right? How do you get Shannon to go to college? You don't charge her 3% per year on her loan. You charge her 1.5% per year on her loan.
Okay.
That's how you would stimulate the economy. If the central bank goes to negative interest rates, that's the goal. Stimulate the economy. They've already printed trillions of dollars. If that doesn't work, the only thing they have left is to literally go to negative interest rates. Or buy cars and start handing them out to people, and maybe the Fed just starts buying products. Who knows? All right, how'd I do? Somebody asked, William, Daniel, Tasneem, Usanga, any questions?
I have one question. So, why does the Fed use these private banks as like a middleman? Wouldn't the interest rates be cheaper for the consumers and and these companies if they directly gave it to them?
Hell yeah, it would. Hell yeah, it would. But with it being cheaper, you also have more liability.
Oh,
So the New York, that's like saying, hey, why doesn't the central bank just lend directly to Prasanga or Shannon? Because it needs to kind of share responsibility in case you don't pay it back. So what happens is the central bank shares responsibility with the New York Fed and the Atlanta Fed. Then they lend to other small commercial banks, and then they lend to other banks or to businesses or individuals. So what happens is it's like degrees of separation. That way everyone isn't holding all the debt. It's kind of like a big game of telephone, and everyone shares that little bit of financial responsibility. Because what happens if your business, Prasanga, doesn't pay back the debt? That would really hurt the New York Fed. Well, in this situation, it would only hurt TD. And longer term, it might hurt the Fed. But what the New York Fed and what the central bank try to do is to put more responsibility on the banks and make the banks make these decisions. Does that help at all, Prasanga?
yeah, it helps.
It's like a shared responsibility you'd be kind of looking at there. All right. Well, hey, listen, if you guys have another question, I'm more than welcome to stay and answer. I'm not going to keep you here for the sake of keeping you here. Shannon, what do you think? Does your loan make sense if they went to negative interest rates? Maybe Shannon wasn't going to go to college. Then all of a sudden they said, well, instead of 5%, we'll give you a college loan for 1%. Ooh, well, maybe that's a little bit more appealing than to go to college. That's it. That's exactly it. That's how negative rates work. If we get there, I don't know. So again, I'm not sure. I think we do. I really do think we do. We won't get there within the next month or two, though. It would take a few months to get there with more bad economic data. Okay, guys, I will, I'll connect with you tomorrow. All right. If you guys need anything from me, let me know. I'll be available all day. If not, I'll see you tomorrow morning. All right. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. I'll post the recording in a few moments. Have a good day, guys.